Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a case that continues to baffle and disturb criminologists and the public alike, the story of Edmund Kemper. Standing at a towering 6'9", with an IQ reported to be in the genius range, Kemper presented a paradox that challenges our understanding of the criminal mind. His case is not just a tale of horrific acts, but a deep, unsettling look into the complexities of human psychology, trauma, and the making of a monster. So, who was Edmund Kemper before he became the infamous co-ed killer? Born on December 18, 1948, in Burbank, California, his childhood was far from idyllic. His parents' marriage was fraught with conflict, culminating in their separation when he was just a young boy. Ed, along with his two sisters, moved with their mother, Clarnell, to Montana. This move marked the beginning of a deeply troubled relationship between mother and son. Clarnell was reportedly a domineering and emotionally volatile figure. Accounts from Kemper himself describe a childhood filled with humiliation and psychological torment. He claimed his mother would lock him in the basement, fearing he might harm his sisters. This isolation and constant belittlement fostered a deep-seated resentment and a dangerously warped view of the world, particularly towards women. His fantasies grew darker, and he began harming animals, a classic warning sign often seen in the developmental history of violent offenders. The first definitive, terrifying sign of the violence Kemper was capable of came when he was just 15 years old. In 1964, after running away from home to live with his paternal grandparents in North Fork, California, the simmering rage within him boiled over. Following an argument with his grandmother, he fatally shot her. When his grandfather returned home from the store, Kemper shot him as well, fearing his reaction to what he had done. This shocking act of violence didn't lead to a typical prison sentence. Because of his age, Kemper was diagnosed by court psychiatrists as a paranoid schizophrenic and sent to the Atascadero State Hospital, a maximum security facility for the criminally insane. He spent 5 years there, and by all accounts, he was a model inmate. He was intelligent, cooperative, and learned a great deal about psychology from the staff. He even became an assistant to the psychiatrists, helping to administer tests to other inmates. He became so adept at manipulating the system that he convinced his doctors he was fully rehabilitated. Against the recommendation of some psychiatrists who saw through his facade, Kemper was paroled on his 21st birthday in 1969 and released into his mother's care, the very source of his initial trauma. The arrangement was a disaster waiting to happen. The old patterns of conflict and humiliation with his mother quickly resurfaced. He tried to build a normal life, working various jobs and even attempting to join the police force, but his large size and psychiatric history were barriers. The internal pressure was building, and his dark fantasies were returning with a vengeance. It was between May 1972 and April 1973 that Edmund Kemper began the series of crimes that would earn him his horrifying moniker. He started picking up young female hitchhikers, primarily students, in the Santa Cruz area. To these unsuspecting young women, he seemed like a gentle giant, a safe ride. He would use his intelligence and unassuming demeanor to gain their trust before luring them to secluded locations. His methods were brutal, and the details of his crimes are deeply disturbing, reflecting the culmination of years of suppressed rage. He targeted 6 young women in this manner, creating a wave of terror throughout the community. The police were baffled. They were searching for a monster, but Kemper didn't fit the stereotypical profile. He was articulate, intelligent, and moved freely within the community, even socializing with off-duty police officers at a local bar, where he would listen to them discuss the very case he was central to. The climax of Kemper's violence spree was the most personal and, in his mind, the inevitable conclusion. On April 20th, 1973, after an argument with his mother, he murdered her in her sleep. In his later confessions, he described this act as the ultimate release, the focal point of his lifelong anger. Shortly after, he also murdered his mother's best friend, who had come over to visit. After these final, horrific acts, something inside Kemper shifted. The driving force behind his rage, his relationship with his mother, was gone. He had achieved his goal, and the compulsion seemed to vanish with it. He packed a few belongings, and with the remains of his final victims in his car, he began to drive east, aimlessly. He drove for hundreds of miles, listening to news reports about the manhunt for the co-ed killer. And then, in a move that is perhaps the most bizarre part of his story, he stopped at a payphone in Pueblo, Colorado, and called the police himself. The initial dispatcher didn't believe him, thinking it was a prank call. Undeterred, Kemper called again, patiently explaining who he was and what he had done, providing details that only the killer could know. He calmly waited for law enforcement to arrive and arrest him. He surrendered without any resistance. During his confession and subsequent interviews, the world got a chilling look inside his mind. He spoke about his crimes with a calm, detached intelligence that was more frightening than any outburst of rage could be. He provided investigators with invaluable insight into the psychology of a serial killer, discussing his motivations, his methods, and the internal world that drove him. His taped confessions have since become essential study material for FBI profilers and forensic psychologists. Edmund Kemper pleaded guilty and, at his own request to receive the death penalty for his horrific crimes, was found sane and guilty at his trial. However, since capital punishment was temporarily suspended in California at the time, he was sentenced to 7 concurrent life sentences. To this day, he remains incarcerated at the California Medical Facility in Vacaville. He has consistently waived his right to parole hearings, stating that he is not fit to be released into society and is content where he is. The case of Edmund Kemper serves as a harrowing reminder of the dark potential that can lie beneath a seemingly normal, even intelligent, exterior. It underscores the profound and devastating impact of childhood trauma and the complex, often hidden, pathways that can lead a person to commit unspeakable acts. His story is a chilling chapter in the annals of true crime, not just for what he did, but for the articulate and self-aware way he explained why he did it, leaving us with questions that we are still trying to answer today. Thank you for joining me for this deep dive into a truly unsettling case. It's a stark look at the complexities of the human mind and the darkness it can hold. If you found this analysis interesting, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more content. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.